Algiers is France. These words rung into Yo's head. Ever since he was a boy, he had been taught in school that Algeria was just as French as the plains of Aquitaine. But to him, a young conscript from metropolitan Paris, he was beginning to doubt the words of his schoolmaster. The Arabic domes of the city were a far cry from the steeples and rooftops of France, and in his time in this land he had yet to see any resemblance to the forests of his home region. The War of Algerian Independence is in full swing, with much of the indigenous population of Algeria in full agreement with Yves' private thoughts, that maybe Algeria isn't France, and violently so. For the past 2 years, brutal asymmetrical warfare has been ongoing, with French soldiers, policemen, and colonists being assassinated, bombs being set off, and the FLN has only gotten more popular as France tries to choke the life out of their movement in brutal fashion. Now, in 1956, the French army has begun a campaign to subdue the Kasbah, the historical Arab quarter of the capital of Algiers, and the FLN's major base of operations. Saint-Germain, we're going to have to make this quick. We won't be able to take the captives back in a timely manner, and more insurgents are soon to be near. Follow me. Throughout the war, French soldiery engaged in acts of torture on Algerian suspects, civilians, and fighters. The most common method was waterboarding, but accounts of burning and asphyxiation by rope are not a rarity in this hellscape. Pass your canteen, Private. Yves had heard this before, and the will to protest the order had slowly been drawn out of him. The first time he spoke out, a superior officer simply told him, "Dirty hands are needed to keep Algeria French." Yves had the mind to contest if Algeria ever was France, but decided against it, believing imprisonment from insubordination or mutiny to be less than desirable. Summary execution was all too common in the war, with countless Algerians facing the brutal practice with no trial, no investigation, sometimes only vague suspicion being the source. The plan to subdue the Kasbah was only a tactical success for the French. While they dismantled the FLN leadership and took control over the area over an 11-month period, their brutal methods suppressing the rebellion only further encouraged Algerians to rebel. As the years dragged on, the fighting would rage through both Algiers itself and the countryside. Public sentiment was at an all-time low, and Yves' opposition to the war himself becoming more popular among the French. Not learning their lesson, the French would double down on their scorched earth tactics. With paranoia among the French over who could be an insurgent, over 8,000 villages will be demolished and their occupants moved into detention centers. 2 million Algerians will be coerced in the camps throughout the war, with around 200,000 dying. As the war continued on, conscripts such as Yves' morale continued to plummet. Unlike the volunteer elements of the French military, many conscripts were opposed to the war, not wanting to fight for what they viewed as a pointless cause, and more so for being forced into it. Eventually, in 1962, they would receive their wish to go home. Did you hear? They signed a ceasefire. We'll all be home soon. With the signing of the Evian Accords on March 18, 1962, a ceasefire between the FLN and France was formed. By July, a referendum among the Algerians would be held, a vote resulting in independence for their nascent nation. Veterans like Yves were neglected, and France's unwillingness to speak about its crimes didn't offer a voice to the psychologically damaged among them. Gunshots and burns were not the only wounds sustained by the soldiers. Pangs of guilt and regret would last for the rest of their days.